infosec to insanity, episode 34.
It's
We're live,
34,
Matt.
though.
Hey, Matt, get your shit together,
Hey,
man.
Evan. How are you, sir?
Good. It's Thursday night,
May 29th.
right? It's Thursday still?
Yes, sir. Thursday night,
All right.
May 20th.
All right, in this episode 34 of infosec to insanity, we've got a good show planned tonight. My eyes look a little red, man. Am I tired?
Nah, I
Do I
think you
usually
look
look like this?
awesome.
Do I usually? Really? Fuck, I don't think so. I think I got to get some. Don't they have those like people you can go to that, the spa, and they can make your eyes?
Your whole face like tighter and trash?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's it.
Oh, look at my shirt today.
Ooh, I love it. You're
mental health
a big
hackers.
supporter of them, right?
I am a big supporter. Yeah. You got to put your money where your mouth is, man. We talk about mental health stuff on here, not just for clicks and shit. It's because, it matters.
Totally
matters. All right. So
How was
tonight's
your week?
topic is addiction. You and I have a personal love affair with addiction. This will be personal. This will get. There's your cat walking in the background.
Yep. She's mad because I was like playing with her.
What's your cat's name?
Her name is Spooky because she'll probably come around the corner and like stare at me with one eyeball. It's the freakiest thing.
Riker's here. Snapped them. Yeah is here.
Sweet. What up, guys?
So are you a gamer, Matt? Do you game?
I used to game a lot. Like I used to be able to play like 18 hours, but that's a thing I'm not doing anymore.
So that was an addiction.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I had an addiction as well. I played Call of Duty a lot up until the age, I don't know, how old am I now? 54? Shit. I don't know how long. 30, maybe up until the age of like 35.
Well, they're on like Call of Duty 25.
40?
So which one were you playing?
40 or something? I don't even know anymore. Well, because, I mean, it was Call of Duty, right? And then now they got all these
shit. Yeah.
Fancy ass names. I mean, it's an FPS, right? I mean, that was what it was all about. It was that and Halo with my kids. Got kind of heated. I punched one of my kids once. That was Brendan though. He totally had that coming, man, because he kept getting the sword.
You or what?
No, kept getting the damn sword before I got to it, and then that
Game
made
over.
me mad. And he had much better at that time.
Halo I was 2 with the sword, right?
Yeah. And then
I played original Halo with LAN parties. Yo.
Oh, we got a Battlefield fan. I like Battlefield. I haven't played though in forever because it was addicting. I was part of a clan group, team, whatever. That was really, really, really good. I mean, we were outstanding. And so, but it was so demanding. I mean, I would get home from work, I'd eat dinner, hang out with the kids a little bit, and then I'd go downstairs and play until 3 a.m. And that was pretty much every night.
Because you got to keep on it if you want to keep the skills sharp.
Yeah, and my team counted on me, and we had our way of playing. And then it was like one night it kind of dawned on me. I was going to bed, and like every night, everybody was already in bed, and I was like, "What the hell am I doing? Like, what value am I getting out of this? Is this like improving my career? Is my wife happier? Are my kids getting nothing." But that's kind of the same thing with like most addictions. It's such a selfish thing we do when we're in our addiction, and then you look back and you're like, my God, I can't believe I did some of that shit. But that's addiction. So we're going to talk about that tonight. But before we get started, we always start with this first segment. What the fuck happened this week?
What the fuck did happen this week?
The politically correct way is WTF happened this week. So if anybody was offended by the word fuck, I would say I'm sorry, but then I'd be lying. And that's not a thing I do. So whatever. So let's talk about it, man. Carry on. So, like most things, I prepare last minute for kind of everything. You and I were talking about that before we went live, how that's partly ADHD, right? We talked about that last week.
That's what makes us successful.
I work a lot better under pressure. I think most ADHD people do because it's chaotic and that's where we thrive a little bit. So let's talk about the first one, Victoria's Secret. Is that where you get your lingerie, Matt?
All the time. I have a secret drawer under my bed.
We should. Would it be inappropriate if we wore lingerie to these podcasts?
It'd be pretty ballsy.
That would be pretty ballsy. It'd get some clicks for sure. All right. So Victoria's Secret, they had to pull down their U.S. website and limit some in-store services due to a security incident, quote unquote. No real details on what that security incident is, but while the company hasn't confirmed it was a cyber attack or ransomware, internal operations were disrupted, including employee email access. This incident follows a trend of cyber attacks on consumer retailers, with experts warning consumers about potential phishing threats. Did you hear about this? This was released, I think, came out in the news today.
I did not hear about it. So one of the things that I try to do for my mental health is not pay attention to this type of noise anymore.
But it's relevant to our industry, isn't it?
Well,
I mean, to us as professionals, you got to put it in
I
its
would argue
right
it's
box, don't you?
noise and it's not relevant.
Well, I don't know. My wife shops at Victoria's Secret. You know, it's relevant for me to watch out for her, sort of. Or people
So
ask you about it, right?
I have there's a couple different.
Maybe this is a good reason for me to tell my wife, hey, let's slow down the Victoria's Secret shopping thing for a little bit.
Go to Forever 21. Come on now.
No, well, and not just that, but you don't need the lingerie. I mean, we're married. We've been married for 23 years. You know,
live
maybe
in
we can
Mexico.
maybe we can just skip the lingerie.
Let it hang out.
Can we just skip the lingerie?
Yeah.
So, all right, I'm going to go talk to her about that. I didn't talk to her about this yet, but I'm going to go talk to her about that. Like, hey, it's probably not safe for you to go shopping at Victoria's Secret anymore.
So there's a couple different mindsets on this, right? To your point.
Get deep. Are you going to get deep?
Yeah, people don't feel pain, right? So even if you shop at Victoria's Secret and you're part of the impact, your credit card company is going to absorb everything, give you your money back, and it's going to trickle down to you and you're not going to feel it. So at the end of the day, paying attention to this, to me, is nothing but noise because it's a sophisticated attack. No, it wasn't.
Well, we don't even know.
Well,
because they're holding details.
Sure.
But yeah.
Well, yeah, we've got really good at this managing the public perception PR stuff. It's all just it gives us something to talk about, but at the end of the day, who gives a shit? Fix your basics, find your assets, use MFA.
So would you give a shit more if there was some actual accountability behind this? Like,
yes,
we're going to hold Victoria's Secret accountable for whatever fuck up they did that led to this.
So if somebody came down and said Victoria's Secret's CEO has to step down, and well, they probably can't because they're a private company, but everyone gets free lingerie for a year, or everyone can go on like a shopping spree or some shit, like some sort of accountability, yes, then it would be worth following, but this has yet to happen.
Holy shit, Riker. Congratulations, man. 25 years clean, recovering meth addict. My best friend.
That's tough.
My best friend is Bobby. Have you met Bobby?
I have not.
All right. Bobby was in the Hells Angels for...
Heard about him.
A long time. I don't know how many years it was. I don't think he remembers how many years it was. Anyway, yeah, meth is his thing for sure. He got out, and there's a whole story behind it. Maybe I'll have him on the podcast sometime, and he can share a story because it's unbelievable. And then now that he's been out of that and clean, he's relapsed a couple of times. I mean, he's the most beautiful human being I've ever met. He's got the best, like the deepest heart, because it's like when that shit's clear. That's the thing with like addiction. When you, I guess, not really take care of, but I guess maybe confront your addiction, manage your addiction. I don't think it ever truly goes away, because when you start to fool yourself into thinking that it's gone away, that's when you let your guard down and you find yourself, relapsed. I've relapsed a couple of times.
Acknowledge.
Yeah. But yeah, man, Bobby. And I've seen him, on meth, because I'm the guy that usually his wife will call me and I'll go try to find Bobby wherever the fuck he's at, Last time he relapsed, I told her I had 2 of his Harleys in my garage at the time. And you could tell his wife was just like distraught. And so she's like, what should I do? I'm like, sell his bikes. If he's not going to
Accountability.
be, if he's not going to be responsible, sell those damn bikes, and then if he wants to bitch and complain about it, well, then stop being an asshole. But he did such a good job when that last time he relapsed, he actually checked himself. It was only like a 3-day binge kind of thing. And he checked himself right in to rehab again. He's been through rehab so many damn times that he knows exactly how that game works. You know what I mean? We can be pretty, addicts can be pretty conniving. You know what I mean? We know our way, how to get away with shit. At least we think we do until, until we don't. All right. So Victoria's Secret, anyway,
Well,
we don't know.
so here's the thing that pisses me off about this Victoria's Secret. Even more, I don't know if you read this other article, but it looks like Mandiant is trying to say that this might be Scattered Spider. Okay, what the fuck? I thought late last year the FBI just arrested and shut down Scattered Spider. Seems like all of this leads to nothing meaning a whole bunch of nothing.
Well, that's part. Well, that's part of the bullshit, right? Part of the bullshit is, and it's like, what people say about the fake news shit, all over the place, right? What you're going to get usually is not, you're not going to get the full story. And Mandiant, they're masters of playing this game. You mentioned nation state, that automatically kind of gives you a little bit of a pass when it shouldn't. I remember when our team, like when I stepped away from the incident response, active sort of incident response, and that team kind of took it on. There was a nation state. We got called on a nation state thing. And the team was like really, because they'd never dealt with that before. So they were like freaking out. They were thinking about not taking the case. I was like, why wouldn't you take the case? They're like, well, it's nation state. I'm like, it's this. They use the same shit. They use the same shit you and I use, right? There's no magic. There's no pixie dust that they use, right? They're using TCP/IP, the same damn TCP/IP that you and I use. They're using exploits of vulnerabilities, that same things that we would use. They just happen to have a business built on it. But don't get intimidated because it's a nation state, and don't give them a free pass. Nation state has just as much trouble getting into play. The only reason why they may be more likely to be successful is because of their motivation and their focus. They'll keep going at it. But if you're watching the front door, you'll notice it before they get in. You know what I mean? Again, it's not like you can go undetected. There's no invisible processes. It's not.
I thought there was.
No, it's there. But anyway, all right. So that pisses you off. I get it. But let's get to the other things that happen. If you have a family member who uses Victoria's Secret and you want to save some money, here's an excuse for you to save some money. Tell them that all their shit's going to be taken away, and just go without lingerie. It's easier. It's quicker.
Go with your birthday suit, man.
That's what I'm saying. All right, here's another one. Virgin Media O2 location link for 2 years. A critical security flaw in Virgin Media O2 mobile network exposed the locations and other sensitive information of millions of customers for up to 2 years. The vulnerability allowed any Virgin Media O2 SIM user to access data such as cell tower location and SIM card details of other users. The issue, discovered by an IT specialist, was patched on May 18th, 2025, but concerns remain about the potential risks for sensitive individuals. What do you think about that? So what? Are you going to say that about every one of these?
Nope. A couple of them I'm interested in, but this one, cell phone data, like, so what? The government, like, that data is already being collected and sold. No big deal.
My mother asked me for, my mom's down here in Mexico with me for a couple of weeks, and she's 78, I think. And I'm an only child, so I'm her tech support, I think. And it irritates, it irritates the shit out of you, but then you're like, okay, it's probably part of my payback for, being a dick kid. Yeah. But she asked me on our walk, we were walking the dogs yesterday, and she said, should I use a VPN? And I'm like, honestly, I wouldn't.
Just makes it easier to collect.
And she's like, well, I thought you were a security guy. And I am a security guy. I mean, a VPN, sure, it'll help you, maybe on the local network and maybe, a few hops, but it's not going to be the end all be all. I mean, it's probably just going to add more complexity to your existing configuration. It's more shit that you've got to navigate, and that's probably going to frustrate the hell out of you. And to your point, Matt, if they get your shit, it's like there's no consequences to it anyway. So just an inconvenience. So no, don't
Using a
use a VPN.
VPN
But it was so
just
weird
makes
hearing
it
myself say that as a security guy who's not supposed to tell my mom
right.
not to use a VPN. But
Well, what is you're supposed to, right? I think we've been lying to ourselves for a very long time. And we refuse. I think our industry is a bunch of pissed off teenagers that refuses to acknowledge the true state of things. But the
yeah,
VPN, right? You use a VPN. What are you using it for? If you're trying to use it to be anonymous, yeah, maybe. If you're trying to hide data, all it does is put all your data in one central point, which is easier to take instead of spread over multiple systems.
well, and even and it's not anonymous either.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean? It's, from hop to VPN endpoint maybe, but
You gotta use Tor if you want to be anonymous, is what I hear.
yeah, so I'm going to sit there and teach my mom how to use Tor.
Yep. Perfect. That'd be a great day.
But then I had to ask myself, like, did I tell her that just because I didn't want to do tech support on another damn thing? But, because I want to be honest about it. But
Yep.
I think that's not her most likely method of compromise. I mean, that's her
Skimmed
most
at the
likely.
gas station.
Skimmed at the gas station, falling for a phishing attack, choosing, reusing passwords, authentication data. That's what I'd rather her focus on than using a VPN right now. So anyway, that's the way we went. All right, so you don't give a shit about the Virgin Media O2 location lake. How about
Am I supposed to?
I don't give a shit. I don't care if you are or not. No, I don't tell you what to care about. You're an adult. You can make up your own mind. And you're not under the influence, so I don't have to babysit you.
Appreciate
We're good.
that.
Yeah. So 184 million passwords exposed. A massive data breach has exposed over 184 million unique passwords. I don't know if they're unique. Tied to services such as Google, Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. The unencrypted and publicly accessible database lacked any password protection and was likely obtained via InfoStealer malware. That's been around forever. The breach is being termed a cyber criminal's dream due to the vast amount of stolen data. Does this matter to you, Matt? Or do you not give a shit about this one? Do you care about anything right now, Matt?
Yes.
What do you care about?
I care about some of these other ones.
Okay, so we haven't gotten to those yet. They're coming.
Exactly.
All right. Well, this is a big deal, though, man. I mean,
is it?
Yes. Dude.
184 million passwords?
Yes, to Google, Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat.
That shit, I guarantee you they're already out there in some other list.
You guarantee me?
Yes. Okay, I can't guarantee you. I'm pretty positive they're already... Dude, they're people. People are reusing. These are 184 million compared to what list? Itself? Or other lists? Because didn't someone just have like 14 gigabytes of passwords?
What happened to you this week?
Nothing. I'm trying to get back to normal, man. I'm just
trying to cut through this negative outlook you have right now as a friend.
I told you some of these other ones are interesting.
No. Yeah, I get it. I mean, that's what we do.
What do you feel about this?
That's what we do when we struggle, man, is we deflect onto something else.
Well, what do you feel about 184 million passwords?
Well, I get your point. I'm hoping, I mean, at what point, which of these, or is it a combination of these or an aggregation of these that leads to us finally giving a shit? Like the general public, I'm saying, not like security people, right? Security people, yeah, we're tone deaf to this stuff because we see it all the time. We've been seeing it for a really long time. But at what point do everyday people give a shit? Is it, I don't know. I really don't. Because if you gave me 184 million passwords, I could think of some pretty destructive things to do with that. You know what I mean? I could disrupt a lot of things. I guess it depends on what my motivation is with having that data. But I think talking openly about it, talking without all the technical bullshit around it, speaking plain English about it, maybe that will resonate with somebody. I don't know.
I mean, for me, if we're in this conversation, 84 million passwords exposed, my question is Google, Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. The fuck are you doing? Are you contacting all these people? Are you forcing them to reset their passwords? How about you make them turn on MFA and not make it an option? Like, maybe the people aren't the problem. Maybe these three
What
companies are the
what
problem.
possible excuse would you ever have to put these unencrypted into a publicly accessible database without any password
Never.
protection? Like, this was
Well,
obviously an oversight.
it was some developer trying to make a thing
Is that what
and
it
they
was, or is
forgot
that
about
what
it.
you're
That's what I'm guessing.
hypothesizing?
I'm
All right.
hypothesizing.
All right. So, yeah, I mean, that's what, and this is one of my frustrations in the legal community in this industry is what what constitutes negligence? When, because, well, you and I would say that, but in a court of law, I don't know if that's true. And even if it is, right, I think the legal community likes it this way because they make a shitload of money, right? There'll be a class action lawsuit here for sure, like all these other ones. And you won't pay attention to it because we don't. We're busy. There's so much shit
Because
going on,
we'll get
right?
a
You're getting,
notification that says you might get 35 cents.
yeah, you interrupted me, Matt. I had a great train of thought going, dude. I was going with this shit. I know. Now it's like derailed. I don't even know where the fuck I'm at right now. Is it still Thursday?
I will slow my roll.
No, 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 no. Is it still Thursday though?
It is Thursday, yes.
Nice. All right, where was I? Oh, no, shit. Okay. The legal community likes it this way because this shit happens. You file suit, right? Class action lawsuit, whatever. Those are, I mean, they're happening all the time. And the fact that it happens all the time, it flies under the radar. Normal people don't know about this shit that's going on, right? You look at the court dockets. I mean, if you followed the number of court cases that were happening today, maybe I should do that. I'll do some research on that. But so there's a settlement, whatever, say for this, I don't know, shit, 100 million. 500 million. I have no idea. Between these companies, Google, Microsoft, Apple, Facebook, I mean, they could afford to pay $1 billion and it wouldn't disrupt the business that they operate. No, $500 million, who makes the money? The lawyers, right? What trickles down to us is negligible. And then even if it does trickle down to us, you have to file the claim. Right? They issue a public notice and they don't have to notify you like directly. They don't have to send you something in the mail, nothing. They just have to publicly announce that go here to claim your money. Like you said, your 35 cents. And so you can see how the legal community digs this shit. I don't want to fix this. This is working great for me. And I don't give a fuck about the customers or the victims who actually suffer from this. And maybe they're not even suffering, right? I don't know.
Maybe we should tell people to become lawyers instead of security professionals so they can fix this.
But you've got Google, Apple, Microsoft. I mean, these are the biggest names in technology. And we can't hold them accountable for shit like this. You can't hold Microsoft accountable for the, I don't know, 90 some odd patches every patch Tuesday.
Like I said, pissed off teenager. Software.
Yeah. So that's why I care. Because it brings up discussions like this where you and I can talk about it and go like, the fuck?
I think so. If you try to think in like the longer term, right? Cars have been around 100 years. It took like, 50, 60 years before we had laws about seatbelts and trash. The tech industry, if you're talking about these companies, 30 years. So we still have a ways to go before like we evolve into being adults. I still think we're in like adolescence trying to play negligent or not negligent, stupid.
Play stupid. Yeah. I think that analogy works a little bit, but I don't think it's a function of time. I think it's a function of pain.
Right.
we
There was
started putting
real
seatbelts in.
death and shit.
We
Yeah.
we started putting seatbelts, yeah, because people were dying. And here, nobody's dying really, as far as we know. And there are actually, but it's more of a trickle down effect, right? It's not a direct result of a cyber attack,
It's digital. We don't.
right? So we need people to die.
Yeah, probably.
No,
Sad.
that sucks. It is sad, man, because people shouldn't
We
have
can
to die.
see the future and people don't listen.
Well, because people, meanwhile, companies like Google, Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, Amazon are making shitloads of money, and the everyday normal person, I don't know if they're struggling to pay bills or not. Down here in Mexico, I just know what I read about you Americans up there. But it sounds like, the cost of living is becoming harder and harder for people to live with, but not for those guys.
It's the word on the street.
Because that's how it works, right? I mean, you take money from here and you put it from there. It's a zero-sum game, right? So where did Google and Apple and Microsoft and Facebook make all their damn money? From people, right? I mean, you could say, well, the advertisers. Where did the advertisers get their money? People. I mean, it always comes. So it's like raping 330 million people, but only like $1 at a time, right? Because you don't feel the pain of $1 at a time until you're far down the road and you're out hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars. Then you take notice. Maybe.
That's why everything's a subscription now. You used to be able to buy it and get the thing. And it's got even worse, like you said, $1 at a time. Oh, I forget to cancel my subscription. Not our problem. You have to opt out of that shit.
Well,
instead of opting in.
The magic of any business, I mean, what every business is looking for is monthly recurring revenue. And I get monthly recurring revenue by selling subscription models. That's how it works. Because that revenue is predictable. It typically stays in an up curve, whereas if you do buying the thing, it's very
plan the cycles. Yep.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about Tulsi Gabbard. You know who Tulsi Gabbard is?
I've heard that name before. I think he's
the U.S. Director of National Intelligence.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty important position.
It's a really important position. Well, she reportedly reused a weak password across multiple personal online accounts for years. The repeated use of a simple password raises security concerns, especially given her high-profile position overseeing national intelligence operations.
Okay, I have a couple questions. What types of personal accounts?
I don't know. Do the damn research.
Do you have a burner email or a burner password?
You're giving her a lot of credit. This is a politician, man.
I mean,
do you think any of that stuff's true?
No, but I think it might be well, yeah, the position before they were in this position though. Are they? I guess is she still doing it now? If she's not doing it now, then obviously she's adhering to the expectation of the position. Behavior can change.
Can change. It's true. So you're giving her the benefit of the doubt.
Maybe. I don't have all the context.
Do you think
obviously you shouldn't reuse your password for like banking and shopping sites where you have your credit card saved and stuff like that? But if it's just like for a form or like something where you don't have a credit card on, like no sensitive information, like who cares?
Do you think maybe as part of the onboarding process, like we're going to onboard you, Tulsi. Congratulations for being confirmed by the U.S. Senate. Part of the onboarding process for being the Director of National Intelligence, which is the highest level beyond the president of intelligence, right? CIA, NSA, you're the shit. Do you think maybe it makes sense as part of the onboarding process that we would go through and identify all of your accounts that you use everywhere and secure that shit?
Yep. That should be like step one before confirming, probably.
Right. Because the way this information was found was really just snooping around, right? It was OSINT, looking at old password leaks and everything and trying to find evidence of her. And then you find, oh my God, she was using the same password in multiple places. So
CIA, FBI, NSA, they can't do this OSINT research?
Right. Part of your onboarding process. okay, you have a really, really important position. Maybe we should just, tighten shit up a little bit before you step into the office.
Or is this a false flag to try and make us look stupid and
Don't go all conspiracy theory on
don't
me and
get
that
all
shit.
crazy? Okay.
No, not right now. Later. All right. So Tulsi, change your fucking passwords.
Yeah.
All
Come
right.
on, man.
Commvault breach. SaaS providers at risk. The U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, which has gone through some tumultuous
Turmoil.
times lately, has issued a warning regarding a recent cyber attack on Commvault, which may jeopardize the security of software as a service providers globally. The breach targeted Commvault's Metallic, a cloud-based software as a service data protection platform, potentially compromising clients' Microsoft 365 environment. Is this one, do you care about this one, Matt? Or is this another one that's just like, I don't give a fuck
No,
about this
so
either?
this one sounds really interesting. I've just never heard of Commvault Metallic before. Obviously, there's got to be some larger platform behind these larger SaaS solutions like Azure and stuff like that. So I never heard of this before. So this is definitely of interest.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know a ton about Metallic either, but I do know that, big software as a service companies often share service, they create services and share libraries and everything in their code. So usually it's the same attack, that sequence that we followed when I was an active attacker. It's identify a vulnerability, compromise the vulnerability, establish a foothold so you've got persistence, and pivot. Delete logs along the way, right? Because you want to delete the evidence. And it's the same kind of shit until you find something that looks interesting or something that was a target to begin with. So I don't know how far this thread leads, but the fact that you can potentially compromise a client's entire Microsoft 365 environment from this vulnerability, that's a big deal.
So it's a
And
big deal.
Commvault's like probably the most popular data backup company, data protection backup company.
Never heard of it.
Never heard of Commvault? For real?
I must not be working for the expensive companies or the
It's
high
probably because
profile companies that can pay these prices.
you're from Wisconsin.
Maybe. So
The Packers probably use it.
this is a big deal, but are you surprised? Microsoft had their source code stolen last year by China. And are you surprised that there's more and more stuff happening on the cloud that's secure?
No,
It's
we predicted
predicted.
this.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of the days. So, we had mainframes and we had, which used a polling technology, right? So, but all the data was stored in a centralized location. And really what was transferred often to the clients was just displays of data, which would be data, but not in bulk. And then we exploded into the file print world with the advent of, who was it? It was Microsoft. Who's it?
DPM.
No, oh my God, they got squashed. Microsoft stole all their good developers and killed the company.
Oh, the thingy that
I don't know. They were the first directory services, file and print.
Netscape.
No.
That was the browser.
Netscape is a browser.
It started with an N though. Nutella?
Novell.
No.
Oh my God, there you go.
Novell.
Novell.
Told you it was an N.
It was an N. When you said N, I was like, okay, there you go. Yeah, so things started centralized and then they exploded. So you had data in branch offices where you had, file and print was all over the place. And then it kind of collapsed back down. And then we exploded back out to the cloud again. So I think you're going to see it eventually come back in-house again, a little bit. You won't kill cloud because they're too damn powerful for that. But
They made a lot of money.
But, I like storing my shit. I mean, I have like an encrypted drive right here. This is where I keep the shit that I care the most about. It's not on the, I don't want it in places where, because you're right. When you put it all in a centralized location like Microsoft or Amazon or Google, it's one target, right? I mean, an attacker gets through those things, it's a gold mine and my shit's involved. Same with outages. I mean, how many outages have we had, with
They still manage 9 5s apparently, or 5 9s, whatever.
Oh yeah, they're going to tell you in the marketing bullshit. But
I don't really care about my personal stuff. I don't back it up. I don't really keep it. If you just get unattached to needing it, it's easier.
well, let's do more fun shit together.
Yeah.
Because some of the shit that I keep is, I think, shit that could really be used against me. You know, for some of the things
I had one of those and
I've
I
done.
sent it somewhere and I never got it back. So I'm pretty sure it's saved somewhere for that purpose. Just saying hi to you 3Ledger people.
Here's OneDrive. Yeah. Anyway.
Yep.
All right. So
Anyways,
Commvault
that was
breach.
the
Commvault
yep.
breach you don't give a shit about because you never even heard Commvault.
No,
And
but
you're
I
like, who
think
the
it's
fuck is
important
Commvault?
to be tracking on.
Do some research on Commvault.
I
You'll
have
find
it
out
pulled up right now.
how big they are.
It says no workload left behind. That's pretty important.
Yeah.
They're true SaaS apparently. And they're trusted, secure, and of course compliant. Gotta love it.
Just click the button. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Try now.
I'm gonna skip the telemessage breach because you don't seem to have any interest in breaches
No,
right now.
that one is one I was interested in, man. Come on.
Really?
Yeah, I was interested in that one.
What goes on in your brain? I want to
Don't worry
poke
about
around.
me.
Don't worry about me. All right, so I'll go for it. Telemessage breach. Government communications exposed. A covert communication app used by U.S. government officials to archive encrypted messages was compromised. The breach revealed names, message fragments, and contact information of U.S. government personnel, highlighting the risks of using customized communication tools without robust security measures. So this is an app called Telemessage. Why does this intrigue you?
Telemessage, invented by Israel Company in 1999. They've been around a while.
I like the Lawfare Media, how they called it. The title of their article is "It's like Signal but dumb."
Yeah. So
That's my kind of writer right there.
How does this even happen? Like, if you have a
Shortcuts, man.
phone, a top tier government phone, how are you even allowed to load other shit?
You don't know how the government works?
This to me also feels like this is too fucking obvious. I don't know. I mean, I know
Well,
the government spends money stupidly, but
one of the things that's really frustrating for me is how much trust people put in the government. If you know how things really work in the government, you'd be up in arms. And he probably, maybe I should have to create something. I don't know if I should do that, if I should go down that path, but
it's a hole to, yeah, you probably don't want to be in there.
Well, it's like I'm 54 years old, man. I mean, how much shit do I want to deal with at this stage of my career? But it's look at the U.S. government cybersecurity scorecards or something. Every year or so, they're audited. Every government agency is audited for cybersecurity best practices. And I mean, most of them are D's.
They focus on offensive and collection capabilities versus actual like best practices, right?
Well, it depends, man. I mean, the government's so damn big. There are some offensive operations. It depends on the offensive operations. How many times have you seen military secrets get leaked? So if you're talking traditional battlefield operational data, that's not very well protected either. If you're talking about like, deep national defense type things, yeah, probably.
I mean, this
But
reminds me.
the government's not good at this, not good at cybersecurity at all.
This reminds me of when the FBI had those phones made and altered, and then they got them implanted in the fucking drug cartel, and then they arrested them. This is like, okay, one of our allies is making an app, and they're embedding it in so they can spy on us because we spy on them.
I don't think that's smart to figure that out. I think they just suck at stuff.
They're just dumb. Like, I'm going to download the wrong app.
Yeah, probably. What was that gun running thing that happened during Obama's administration? I can't remember the name of that one.
Where they found all the guns in Mexico, right?
Somebody thought it was a good idea that we were going to give guns to the cartel but track them.
Yeah, and they didn't track them.
No,
they got lost. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, now all the cartels down here have like 50 cals and really
Yeah,
nice.
why not? Fuck it. That's all.
And it's like, how much did we leave behind when we left Afghanistan?
Afghanistan? Fucking shit. We left fucking full helicopters, tanks. Like, it's all, I think
And now
it's
and
all
now the
part
Taliban does these parades, right?
with
To
our
like,
shit.
yeah, that's the government for you. You know what I mean? And until somebody holds them accountable, I mean, and who holds them accountable, right? The constituents, the people that vote, and nobody held anybody accountable for the Afghanistan debacle or the gun running shit.
I had,
Same with the
dude,
security shit. It's just like another bit of noise. Instead, let's focus on DEI.
Afghanistan is very frustrating because I was there in 2010 with these guys, and one of those guys was there the day they were doing all the evacuation. He was like at the airport and shit. Yeah. So that's like fucking frustrating.
That's frustrating. All right, Apple
So
urges
down here in
iOS
the
8.
middle of this article,
Do you
it
got
says
more?
U.S.
Dude, we got to
Cyber
move on.
Command to be okay. I'm just saying,
All
Cyber
right,
Command is going to be unleashed. Apparently,
unleashed.
that's what it said.
On who?
I don't know. It just said unleashed.
All right. See, all right.
Anyway,
We'll move on after this because another thing, with the amount of resources that the U.S. government has, how can you not be better at this? Like you have
it
access
seems
to like
unlimited.
everything and like nearly unlimited budget, and this is the best you can do? Are you shitting me? We're going to talk about CISA maybe next week because everybody's been asking my opinion because I know people at CISA and have worked on the outside with them. Like, so what do you think about all this turmoil shit? I'm like, I don't know.
You had
It's
a speech that calls them out.
oh yeah,
CISA, what the fuck are you
that was my
doing?
talk. What the fuck is CISA doing? Yeah, that was a good talk. I got a lot of calls from CISA
They
after
liked it,
that.
I bet.
No, they didn't. All right, so Apple urges iOS 18.5 update. Are you an Apple user?
I
Yeah.
am. Upgrade your iPhone.
Did you update your shit?
I did.
All right, update your shit.
What is kind of funny though, you can configure automatic updates, but it doesn't automatically update it right away. It waits like fucking 4 or 5 days.
Yeah, force it if you have to.
Yeah,
But
that's
that's why
what I
we're talking
usually
about it.
do.
For
But
anybody who didn't get that automatic update, hey, do you want to update your phone thing? You can do it because we told you to.
do it. Meow.
Matt, you and I were experts. Look at
I'm
my
not
eyes
an
right now.
expert.
Do my eyes look serious right now?
They look pretty fucking serious.
Because I'm an expert.
But I'm not an expert. I'm not
All
going to
right.
claim to be an expert.
All right, don't listen to Matt, then listen to me.
I am a
guess.
professional.
All right. So here's what it says. Security experts are urgently advising iPhone users to install the new iOS 18.5 update. You can do that while you're sitting here listening to this podcast if you want.
Unless
It
you're
addresses,
listening to it on your phone.
you need to stop interrupting me. So that is your last warning. That is strike number 2.
I'll mute myself.
I'm gonna fly up to fucking Wisconsin, and I'm going to take care of this. I don't like Wisconsin. I don't want to go to Wisconsin. It's going to make me really crabby if I have to go to Wisconsin.
I like to have you for a visit.
Yeah, I do. That would be kind of fun. All right, let me read it and then you can comment. All right, so security experts are urgently advising iPhone users to install the new iOS 18.5 update, which addresses a critical vulnerability that could allow hackers, did you hear that? Hackers. Okay, to access personal data. The flaw involves processing a maliciously crafted image that could lead to compromised memory. Smash that stack, baby. Although there have been no reported exploits yet, the vulnerability is expected to be targeted quickly. All right, now, Matt, what do you think about that?
Patch your shit.
Patch your shit. It's part of hygiene, right?
No.
It's like taking a shower.
You should check your phone every day for updates. Just like you should check your credit card statement every day.
Sounds a lot like work, Matt.
That's how you stay on top of shit.
Nobody
Maybe do
likes
it
to
once a
work.
week then.
Nobody works anymore.
That's true. That's true.
All right. Here's another one. Last one. So iOS users, Apple users, patch your shit. If you don't know how to patch your shit, go into system settings. It's right there. Update, blah, blah, blah. Click it. You'll be fine.
General software update.
There you go. Go for it. Get her done. All right, ConnectWise breach. Nation state. Of course it's nation state. I mean,
Always.
everything's, yeah, those fucking
Always.
nation state people. They're all, I mean, those Chinese, was it Chinese now? Iranians?
It's
Who
nation
is it now?
state because they're using a VPN, Evan.
Right. All right. So anyway, ConnectWise, you expect, these are big companies, man. And that's kind of the reason why I put them in this. And we're going to talk about this. We're going to start, we're going to be more efficient, I think, as we go further down this path of making this podcast better. But we're going to keep calling these out, hoping that, I don't know, somebody who's not a security person will be listening like, oh my God, that's terrible. We should write my senator or something.
Start spreading.
I should email Tulsi Gabbard. Maybe she can give me your password or something. I don't know.
I'm just going to fish her to get her password.
Right. All right. So ConnectWise breach, nation state hackers exploit Screen Connect. ConnectWise, a prominent IT management software provider. Have you heard of ConnectWise, Matt?
Yes, I have.
But not Commvault. Okay. They disclosed a cyber attack linked to nation state actors. I'm sure Mandiant's involved with this one too, because I think they're the ones who came up with the nation state shit.
They're on top of everything.
Right. Yeah. Right. No, they're not. Nation state actors that compromised its Screen Connect remote access tool. The breach, which occurred in August 2024, but was only discovered in May 2025. Wait, what comes after August? September? Yeah. August, September, September, October, November to December to January to February to March to April to May. 9 months. Okay. Exploited a high-severity vulnerability, CVE 2025-3935, allowing attackers to execute remote code on Screen Connect servers, while ConnectWise claims only a small number of cloud-hosted instances, there you go, were affected. The incident underscores the risks associated with remote access tools. Am I actually supposed to believe only a small number from a nation-state attacker? Here's a nation-state attacker who had 9 months to figure this out.
Oh, it's everywhere.
Exactly. So the vulnerability was announced. Well, the breach occurred in August 2024, right? So at that point,
vulnerability is a 2024 CVE.
Right. So, but it says the breach, which occurred in August 2024. So that means the vulnerability was identified, an exploit was created, whatever, right? And the attackers were able to, these nation state attackers, were able to get into this instance.
Basta.
Is that what it says? Black Basta?
Yeah, in the information.
Hardly fucking nation state. I mean, they're Russian, but whatever. All right, anyway. So August 2024, the attackers, the breach happened August 2024, discovered in May 2025, and you're going to tell me only a small number? What the fuck was the nation state people doing when they compromised the vulnerability? Just kind of hanging out in there? No, but this is the shit when we got to call it.
It's a remote access tool.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well,
so is RDP. We complain about RDP all the time.
Do you get my point, though, Matt? It wasn't a small number.
No, they're definitely a lot. They don't know what they have or don't have, so they can't give you a real number. Because ConnectWise, you can just go download for free.
Okay. Yeah, and so ConnectWise. What the fuck was I going to say about ConnectWise? They suck? No, I don't know that. Maybe a little bit. So, okay, ConnectWise, I can't remember what I was going to say.
The vulnerability's been around a while, and there's a large impact that we probably don't know about. Yeah, in the original, disclosure of this, it was kind of shitty. Because there was really no IOCs. I mean, they didn't give any real good information on if I happen to have this Screen Connect thing in my environment, what should I be looking for? Obviously. Screen Connect running?
There's that.
Number one, is it talking to IP addresses that you don't know it should be talking to? Number two.
This is probably another one of those things too. If you were running a firewall correctly, maybe. And we're monitoring, and had egress filtering correctly configured.
Or at least egress monitoring, at the very least.
But that would take work again, Matt. We don't like work. Let's not do that.
No, it's hard.
Maybe if we put some AI on it.
AI solves everything.
Yeah. But how could you be a company of that size with that install base, right? You have so much exposure. And it takes you 9 months to identify?
Yeah. So this is it's a gap I see too, right? Like I think some tech companies don't understand, well, the due diligence required, right? Like, I'm just gonna sell it, it's gonna be out there, or someone downloads it, it's out there. They don't track it after that. But how are you tracking who's getting it updated? It's a product. It's not just a software. It's a product. You need to track who's got it, what version they're on, how you're contacting them. You need to do that work. And obviously, they don't.
Well, I'm going to give you an example of that when we get to tool time or full time later.
Full time. What?
Because I did a whole bunch of research, and this is the same kind of research I would expect my team to do before we put a product into an environment. And yes, it's work, but I don't know about you, Matt. I get paid. Do you get paid?
For what?
Work. The fuck are you listening to me?
I get paid. Yeah,
Yeah. So
I should work, right?
I should earn it. My money,
Yeah.
probably. Yeah. And I don't provide the most value to the company that I work for by buying more products and installing it without knowing how to use it. I don't provide a lot of value when I do that shit. All right. Anyway, that's the roundup for this week. That took way too long, Matt. We're going to have to do better next time. We're going to have to tighten this thing up. We're already an hour into this thing, and that's all we did, just talk about that shit. But you and I share one common irritation with all that shit. It's the lack of accountability. Right?
Uh-huh.
All right. So the episode segment tonight is Fix This Broken Thing, Insanity Check, whatever. It's about the blog post, right? And this is continuing on with the series on Mental Health Awareness Month or whatever, because, a month is enough maybe. And it's addiction isn't just drugs and booze. When you think addiction, what do you think most people think of when they think of addiction?
Alcohol or drugs.
Yeah, I agree. Because when I tell people, when I share people, my own addiction, that's addictions, right? I mean, that's what we all, I think, tend to think like needles or bottles. Uh-huh. But it's a lot deeper than that. So tell me about your addiction issues.
So I got in trouble with alcohol. Didn't really know anything about addiction. I was down this path for multiple years, just saying that I was controlling it. I had it managed, which when you take a step back is probably a sign that it's a problem. So then I went to outpatient therapy, and it was like this intense thing where we had like I think like 4 hours of therapy a week for like 6 weeks or something. And we learned all about addiction. And I think addiction is like a behavioral pattern or mindset that doesn't need to be tied to a specific thing. It can be anything. It can be sex, it can be drugs, it can be games, it can be adrenaline, it can be work. It's just a mental state where parts of your brain are blocked from receiving the feedback from your prefrontal cortex. I think it's either I'm not a brain expert. Either it's blocked going back to your brain to have the reasoning, or it's blocked from going back. Basically, your brain rewires itself so the reasoning part doesn't come into play. And once you're an addict of one thing, you're more susceptible to anything. Because I think my experience, it's a mindset, not just I'm addicted to one thing. I think that's where some people have problems, potentially.
Yeah.
But I'm not an expert.
Well, I mean, you're speaking from personal experience, right? I mean, on every one of these blog posts, I mentioned that I'm not a mental health professional. I have no training. So take that for what it's worth. But what I do share is my experience. And you can't, I mean, in that context, you are an expert. You are an expert in your experience, right? And so people listening to that need to interpret it as such, right? Because addiction, I mean, I agree with you. I think addiction, I don't know if ADHD makes people more susceptible to addiction or not. I can see how it could because I just end up doing shit and I don't really know a lot of times why I'm doing shit. Like today, even, right? They had to cut the power to our house, the whole hill actually, because they were doing tree trimming before the rainy season hits here in Mexico. And so they cut power. I was like, all right, it's like, I mean, I have a generator and everything, but I was like, fuck it. This is a good opportunity for me just to go do something. And so I'm like, Mom, you want to go do something? She's like, what? I'm like, I don't know. Let's just go do something. She's like, all right. And then next thing I know, my wife joins me. My daughter joins me. We get in the side by side and we just headed south. No, no agenda. I don't know.
Just
We
diddy
went,
bopping.
yeah, but I do that a lot. So some of my addiction is, I think, just comes from just lack of paying attention to that, maybe. But, alcohol was definitely a big problem for me. So was gaming. So was work. So, I mean, there are many addictions for me. And one of the things I learned, because when I've relapsed, or here I am working again, 20 some odd hours straight, it's like, what the hell, And so I kept asking myself, why do I do this? Why do I do this? They call them triggers, right? And so for me, really common triggers, actually three of them that have to be there at the same time. One is I'm alone. Two is I have time on my hands. And three is I'm bored. If those three things are true, something bad is probably going to happen for me. And so knowing that now, I just avoid that. I try to avoid that. I try to identify, like, because that's why, I went and got my mom. Or I go talk to my wife. I'm not alone now. You know what I mean? There's some accountability, but it takes maturity. I think, working through your addictions to get to that point. There's a lot of things in the world that will reinforce your sick, shitty thinking around addiction. There's lots of people that will justify your addictions. When I quit drinking, I've never been to AA. I did go to, a court ordered treatment because I've been in jail numerous times. And this was like, you want to go to jail for a long time, Evan, or do you want to go to this treatment program? I'm like, no, I'll go to the treatment program.
Please.
There was a guy, I met an older guy, one of those wise people that's been around for a long time. And he said, if you want to kick this, Evan, you only got to do one thing. You only got to change one thing. I was like, as an addict, easy button, shortcut? Hell yeah. What is that one thing? And he's like, and then he said, everything. And I was like, you fucking turd, really?
Just don't do it.
What do you mean everything? He's like, everything. Places you go, the things you do, the way you think about things, your friends. And I was like, oh, my friends? It's like, yeah, you have to change your friends. You have to say goodbye to your friends. I was like, hell no, that ain't happening. So then, I don't know, sometime, a few days later, maybe, or whatever, I was talking to my best friend at the time. His name was Doug. I'm like, hey, Doug, dude, I think I'm done with this. I can't do this anymore. I can't go out to the bars anymore and do the shit that we used to do. Man, I got to give it up, He's like, give it 30 days. He'll be back out there with us again. And that's when what the old man said really sunk in. I was like, what the fuck? All right. Because you have this twisted worldview. Like, these friends actually like me. They love me. But it's bullshit, because if you loved me, why would you sit there and watch me destroy myself and not do anything about it?
Makes them feel better about themselves.
And that was the reason why I learned that too. That was the reason why I got invited to all the parties. I always got invited to the parties, every party. It wasn't because I'm a great person. It was because you could always look at me and go, well, at least I'm not that bad.
Yeah.
I think it made everybody else feel better. If you want to, that's what a shitty existence. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing with like work stuff, right? This workaholic thing. People look up to that, I think, in a twisted way. Like, because how you doing, man? Oh, I'm busy as hell. Oh, what's up? Oh, I got this, that. And it becomes like this badge of honor. Like we're all proud of how much fucking work we're doing. Meanwhile, your marriage is going to shit. Your kids, they don't even know you anymore. You haven't been to their baseball games. You haven't been to their football games. It's like That's an addiction. And so then my dad, looking back at one of the things he taught me, he was a really wise man. He died, actually, maybe from alcohol. Anyway, he said the one way you can tell bad behaviors have consequences, good behaviors have benefits. So while you're working that hard, if there's consequences, if your marriage is going to shit, if your kids don't like you, those are the consequences of your shitty behaviors. So you're out of balance. But I think it's so easy to get addicted to shit. I mean, for me.
Society enables it. It's everywhere.
Yeah. And then I made a
Forced
quote.
on
I
you.
put a quote. What do you think about this quote?
I
One of
love
the
it.
quotes I put, I like it. You didn't even know what quote I said yet.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
You said it. It's awesome.
You're like my fanboy now. Maybe I will have to come up to Wisconsin. We'll have to get rid of that launch. Wait. It's going sideways. This went sideways really fast. All right. But it says, I wrote, addiction isn't about what you use. It's about what you're avoiding. Do you feel that?
Yep. What we talked about in the thing and the therapy is trying to avoid the feeling. And
How
then
many
back to
times?
what we talked about a couple times was like, do I feel the feels? What does happiness really feel like? I don't know. I think I'm happy. Oh, that's what that feels like?
Yeah, you and I have talked about that. Because my therapist is like, all right, Evan, how you feeling? I'm like, fine. He's like, what is that? And I'm like, I don't know, like, fine. And then he kept asking me questions. I'm like, all right, I feel numb, I guess. I mean, just I'm not happy. I'm not happy. I'm not sad. I'm not angry. I'm not, I'm fine. And then he had to teach me, feelings. He was like, do you even know what feelings are? And I'm like, I think so. I mean, I'm not stupid. I've read shit and things. And so then he gave me this handout of like 50, 60, I don't know how many feelings were on there. And then it had all the definitions to them. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm happy. I'm that. And it's crazy how, I don't know, how far we slip maybe. So how are you, Matt? What are your feelings?
I am exhausted.
Really?
Yeah.
What are you frustrated with?
Not about here. This is probably one of the highlights of my week. I love doing this.
I
Chatting
do
with you.
too. Yeah, I do too, man. That's the point of doing this, right? I don't really give a crap how many listeners you get. This is good for my own mental health. Talking to a buddy that I trust about shit that we all struggle with. You know what I mean? I just interrupted you that time.
No worries.
After the show, we're going to talk about what you're frustrated with and see if we can't fix it with explosives.
If you want.
I like explosives.
I like chatting.
All right. So what to do about it? At the end of this blog post, I give you my own advice. Again, I'm not an expert on this shit. I've just been through it. That's another thing I've learned too. None of those friends that I had while I was noticing the addiction thing, none of those people are my friends now. So you get a whole new crop of friends. And what I found is one huge, large pocket of those new friends are also addicts. My best friend, Bobby, an addict. A lot of my friends are addicts. And I think the reason why is together we can talk openly. We share a common bond in the addiction. And they know that I can trust them. They can trust me. I can also call your bullshit. Sometimes it takes an addict to catch an addict, right? You know the games that they play, the excuses that they use, you know what I mean? So it's like, I've grown to really appreciate my broken friends, probably more than I appreciate my non-broken friends, meaning my friends that just seem to have their shit together. Because that's not how life works.
Don't put up a front if you can acknowledge it.
Does anybody, does anybody really have their shit together? I don't know how you could. Because the only way I could even fathom having my shit together is if I didn't do shit. If I just
Lived
sat.
with mom.
Yeah, just sat and did, I don't know, whatever the fuck that means. Because the world's all broken and shit, right? And we live in the world and you got to deal with shit. You got, deal with bills, deal with assholes, deal with good people, nice people, deal with mom, deal with wife, deal with work. You know what I mean? And when you understand it and you're honest with all that shit, it's actually beautiful. It really is beautiful when
vulnerability.
I'm not trying to avoid it, right? I'm not trying to isolate it, medicate it, you know, game it away. It is what it is. You learn how to cope. All right. So what to do about it? The first thing I had was start by being honest. Self-honesty. Did you struggle with that, Matt? Because
Yep.
you were lying to yourself and telling yourself that you were something different or feeling different than you were, kind of thing.
It took me a while going through well, up until like I got in trouble, right? Definitely lying to myself that I had it under control or managed, whatever. Go back. Yep. Clearly a sign that there's a problem. But then going through the program, you're in there. It's not just people with alcohol, it's people with crack or heroin, like different levels of things. And then like the whole comparison thing jumps out, just like being at the party, right? I'm not as bad as that guy. So like you start to think like, do I really have a problem? Did I just make a mistake? And then, we continue. And what I liked about that program, it wasn't just AA, but for me being an analytical type person, when they start talking about like brain function and stuff like that, like, oh shit, this actually makes some scientific sense that, you know, there's an addiction thing going on here. Then you have to struggle with really accepting that you're an addict, which back to like why we're talking about it is because there is this stigma around it. And if we want to fix it, someone's got to sack up. That's what I do. I usually just step up.
Yeah. Well, and know that you're not doing this stuff alone, right? I mean,
I pretty much am. Well, not.
no, you and I
No, I
talk
know
about this
we're
shit.
like we do the things, but like generally when I think alone, like I guess if the traditional thought is you're going to AA or some sort of like continuous program. I'm not doing that stuff. I do this, I do therapy. That's kind of what's working for me.
Yeah. Well, and build on that, right? Because that's another thing that I think, get honest with yourself, not the world. Fuck the world. If you let the world dictate how this goes, it's going to destroy you. I mean, it just does, right? You have to, it's kind of like you against the world, you and your support structure, whoever you put in place that has your best interests at heart. It's you guys against the world, right? And you start small, right? Identifying people you can trust, add them to your circle, more people you can trust, add them to your circle. And then I think it empowers you more because you feel like you belong now as opposed to being like an outcast. When everybody goes to the bar after work and you're like, oh, that ain't good for me, so I ain't going to go. Well, then you feel like the outcast. But if you have a group to go run to, you're not the outcast, right? It's, I think being honest and starting small, right? Step by step. That's why they say, in AA, even though I never went to AA, I have a lot of friends who've gone to AA. It's one day at a time.
Every day you have a choice to use or not use.
And some days are tough and you have to break that day into hour by hour, minute by minute. You know what I mean? And, and like I said, I've relapsed a couple of times in drinking and other things. I've relapsed many, many, many times. Like I was talking to here's something brutally honest. My wife on Sunday, she's like, last Sunday, she wanted to talk to me. So just me and her, we go to the park and we sit down and we start talking. And she's sharing like how we feel like, we're roommates. She's not happy, and the truth of the matter is we've been here before. You know what I mean? But this is kind of how it works, especially for me. And that's when we'll talk about healing isn't linear. It's an up and down thing. It ebbs and flows. This isn't about perfection. So if you do relapse, if you do end up talking to your wife again about the fact that I'm not paying the attention I need to her and meeting, whatever, the cool thing is the fact that we've been here before, it's not going to get out of hand, right? She felt comfortable to talk to me about it. We talked about it objectively, and we're going to make the right changes. And it was like almost immediate because, you build up that trust. So the thing is, like, relapsing, just pick it up, do it again. Tomorrow's a new day. Understand the difference between guilt and conviction. Guilt is going to keep you in that shit. Guilt is going to keep reminding you that you relapsed, that you're worthless. You thought you were going to conquer this. Bullshit. You can't conquer this. You like to drink. Drinking's good for you. Think about how much fun you had. Think about how lonely you are when you're not drinking. That's all guilt bullshit. Guilt will tear you up. You're looking for the conviction. Yeah, I made a mistake. I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to be better for it. In my faith walk, guilt comes from Satan. Conviction comes from Jesus. That's the way I'm going. But that's what keeps me on the path, right? I'll keep making mistakes. I can't tell you for sure if I'm not going to drink again next week. Fuck, I don't even know what I'm going to do tomorrow morning.
I believe that.
But I know that if I do drink again, because you also hear this sometimes, in AA and people in recovery, like, if I drink again, they almost make it like catastrophic, like scare you out of drinking again. Like, if you drink again, it might be the last time you ever drink, kind of thing. It's like,
Well,
I get that that's true, but if I do drink again and I still live through it, I'm gonna start over again. And that's just what I do.
part of the interesting thing I learned about addiction in the course that I went in, that the addiction, we were talking about how it messes with your reasoning, basically your brain ebbs and flows. I like that in the chat. So when you stop using whatever it is, it's not like your brain heals. It doesn't get better. The next time you do it, it's going to be worse.
I don't know. In my own experience, I don't know if that's true, because I do feel like my brain heals. Because in some respects, I feel like, because they
You're
say,
probably more aware.
yeah,
Well, yeah, maybe. I don't know. That's what they told me anyways. That's what I'm
I don't know.
working on.
I mean, that's the thing too. Like, this is your path. You know what I mean? And we use each other. You know that the advice that I would give you is for your benefit. Like, if your path is different, right? I mean, as long as it's healthy, as long as I don't see you doing shit that's bad for you, it's cool, man. You know what I mean? It's like, that's part of the freedom with my dad used to put this. My dad was really smart. He said it, the way he disciplined me was, it's like a backyard. It's like your house was next to like a highway, and the backyard is got a fence around it to keep you in, right? For your own protection. So the fence isn't there because he's cruel, because he doesn't, it's for my safety. And so within the fence line, do whatever the hell you want. Enjoy it. Don't go over the fence. And because that's then my dad brings the shit. But I like that analogy, because like within the sobriety life, the non-addiction, healthy life, there's so many fucking options and benefits to do. When I cross that line, that's where the danger comes. You know what I mean? Get smacked by a semi.
Find it fascinating that people still ask me, so when are you going to drink again?
Yeah.
That's the weirdest thing. Because then it almost like it's a trigger / enabler back into my brain, like, you got this.
Well, and for them, I mean, it's probably good intentions, right? You got to give them benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to stab you for asking me that, but this is my lifestyle now. You don't want me to go back. You don't want me to go back to that. Trust me.
That's how my cat poke her head up. That was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want me to go back to that lifestyle, man. There were so many consequences to that shit. I also get
so
asked a
many
lot.
that did not happen as well.
Yeah. Well, and the moment that I kind of hit, everybody's got a rock bottom too. My rock bottom was, for drinking anyway, was I ran out of people to blame. I was so good at that. I was so good at, the cops, I just had bad luck. The cops were in the wrong place, I was in the wrong place, the wrong time. That asshole shouldn't have said what he said. I mean, there was always an excuse. There was always somebody else to blame. And that last time, when I finally realized that I had nobody left to blame, it's like, holy shit, I'm the problem. That was such an awakening, and it hurt. I was in jail, in a holding cell, crying in front of a bunch of, I don't know, tough guys. I don't know what they were. None of them were my friends, but
I was crying in the back of the police car already. Like as soon as it happened, I was like, I got hit in the face with a shovel, and I was like,
Yeah,
it felt like I got hit with a shovel, not literally, but yeah,
that would hurt.
yeah.
All right, so there you go. And we're security people, because I've also had people tell me like, I thought you had your shit together more than this. Like,
Security, man.
this is it. This is life, right? I'm really good at what I'm good at. I'm good at security shit. I'm good at trying to help other people. I'm good at serving other people. But yeah, I got problems, man. That's why, Jesus, he said, when they were going to stone this adulterer, this lady who was an adulterer, right? I think that's what it was. But anyway, so back in those days, you stoned them to death, right?
Would be painful.
And so they were going to do that to this lady, and Jesus was there, and he said, he who has not sinned, cast the first stone. And they all dropped their rocks because they're all sinners. That's it. You know what I mean? It's like there's nobody immune to this shit. I think it's funny how we judge each other. All right, last thing we got, and we'll go through this pretty fast because we've been talking too much. I've been talking too much. I'll own this one.
Riker says his inbox is always open. I know he's legit. We connected on LinkedIn. We got to get him on the episode.
Yeah, you tell me when and where. We'll do it.
All right.
All right, tool time or full time? I got a company, Four Scout Technologies. Have you ever heard of Four Scout Technologies?
I have heard of them. Yes, I have.
All right. Well, this week we're going to throw them into the arena.
I was wondering where they went.
Well, they're still there. Oh, yeah, they're profitable.
I used to see them a lot.
Maybe the first time.
Not so much anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a history a little bit with Four Scout, but I'm not going to go there. So they're making headlines again. They're planning to crawl back into the public markets, which means that they're going to issue probably another IPO, initial public offering, which makes them a publicly traded company.
Which is something I should get on?
I don't know. Depends on what you want to do with your investments. Did you know I was a stockbroker?
Yes.
Yeah, I passed my Series 7 and 63 back in, I don't know, I think it was like 19, maybe 20.
I need to get some advice from you.
All right, go for it. I was thinking, what I sent you that message earlier this week that I want to go buy a helicopter.
Yes, you did. That's great advice.
I broke the news to Marlis and she was.
You did tell her, so you did take my advice. Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
That went well?
Story. I don't know.
We'll talk about it.
Well is subjective, but you have to, socially engineer her to get it, I think. But wasn't that helicopter badass? That was $68,000.
Not a lot for a personal helicopter, basically.
Right. Capacity 240 pounds.
That is the kind of sketchy part.
Well, you and I are both under 240 pounds, aren't we?
For now. I mean, I probably fluctuate, but.
Yeah, but you're on a weight loss journey.
I mean, if it said like 350 pounds, I would feel more confident.
Just don't let that hold you back, Matt. Use this as a motivator to get you down to 200. And it flies 85 miles per hour, 12-gallon gas tank. Burn rate is get about an hour and a half to 2 hours of flight time on that thing. 6,000 foot flight ceiling.
You could do a flyby over the zoo.
Fly by everything, dude. So I checked into the Mexican requirements. Yeah, because in the U.S., I don't need a pilot's license for that thing. But in Mexico, I will need some things. I've confirmed that I'll need to do some training.
Interesting that the U.S. Isn't the U.S. supposed to be more safe, supposedly?
I don't know. Mexico's a funny place, sort of, sometimes, because it's some things they take more seriously than other things, and they change things a lot. So today I would need a pilot's license. Tomorrow, hell if I know. And maybe I just need to find the right person to pay. There's always that. But I do want to get training, obviously, before I fly that thing.
You want a simulator, bro?
No, I'll fly a real one, you know what I mean? With a instructor and all that stuff. It can't be because I
Can't be
did
too
more
hard. It's like a
No,
video
no,
game, bro.
yeah, except for you die on this one.
No
But
respawn?
but I should have died lots of times. I mean, you know some of my shit, right?
Mhm.
I mean, all the motorcycle accidents and other crazy shit I've done. Like, I ain't afraid to die. Anyway, all right, Forescout. IPO, what's going on? So they're a network security company, if you don't know who they are, really made their claim to fame around network access control.
Competitor for Cisco ICE is what I was promised. Much easier to implement, plug and play, because 3 people in the world have implemented Cisco ICE successfully.
Correctly. Yeah.
Yeah.
They could not have made that more complicated.
No.
And I'm a Cisco guy, not anymore, but for years, I was a Cisco guy. Loved my Cisco shit. My Pix 520. This shit. For use, I get it, but yeah, solid as hell. And I didn't stop there. I mean, I went to other things. But anyway, all right. So they were bought out by Advent International in 2020 after a whole soap opera deal where Advent tried to bail mid-pandemic. So they were bought out, but then they tried to bail in the middle of the pandemic, right? So this is what's happening to Forescout. Then they came back in again at a discount. So it's like, what the hell is going on, right? They own you, they don't own you, they do own you. I don't know. But now they're cash flow positive, which is, kudos to Forescout. To be cash flow positive in the technology industry that's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Most companies
Well,
are not.
Took CrowdStrike how many years?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and they pivoted hard into subscriptions, right? So they have that monthly recurring revenue, which makes them very valuable. Actually, 90% of the revenue comes from this subscription thing. So they think they're ready to launch again, meaning
That subscription
IPO
also
again.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
the subscription also makes it easier for the people like me, because it's all OpEx. It's easier to sell to my business.
Oh, yeah, for
So
sure.
it's a win-win on both sides,
Maybe.
even though
I
it's
mean,
stealing on their side by the price points.
maybe. I mean,
My opinion.
a lot of the game, I mean, you got to depend. It depends on the company, right? Because a lot of times it's just get in the door. And once you got those little tentacles, and it's the same way attackers work. Like I just told you, the way we've always attacked is identify a vulnerability, compromise the vulnerability, establish persistence, and then pivot. It's like this. This is the same thing. A lot of technology companies do. Identify the vulnerability. That's you. Compromise the vulnerability.
Take you to dinner.
Get a foothold. Get a foothold into the system.
Get you some swag.
And then pivot. Keep keep adding more shit. More swag. Yeah, more dinners. More like invitations to, I don't know, whatever the fuck they do. And it's the base subscription, and then you work up on it. Keep making more. So the tool time stuff, what's working, and this is just from a company perspective, there's 2 parts to this. Number one is this, right? The fact that Forescout, this isn't the first time that they're going to be going into this potential IPO. They've done that before. It didn't go well. Now, here we are in 2025. There's rumors, and they've publicly stated that, their intention is to go public again in 2025. So what's working? They're making money. They stabilized the business, $100 million in free cash flow. That's not bad. Investors like that shit. The subscription pivot, investors like that shit. The leadership reset, they finally figured out their leadership piece. They've got this guy named Barry Maines. He stepped in last year. Less drama, more delivery, stability, all good shit. The full time, what's the catch? We've seen this before. All right, just because they say they're ready doesn't mean they fixed a deeper issue. So, and you can ask SailPoint.
The technology work.
Right. Ask SailPoint.
According to Riker, he says no.
Maybe. I don't know.
He works with it daily, he says, or a lot.
Well, so SailPoint did the same kind of thing. Went back, went again. And ask them how their reentry is going. Not well.
A lot of people are pushing SailPoint. That's all I know.
Well, yeah, out of desperation now. They don't want to get delisted. So trust issues, the fact that Advent, this is another full-time thing. Advent tried to ghost the deal back in 2020. Don't think. To institutional investors in particular have a very good memory. They didn't forget about that. because a lot of them lost money. So that's another thing. And the security market overload. There's an overload of security shit.
Not in the knack space, though.
Yeah, there is. Yeah. Well, not necessarily the knack space, but the investors don't know what the fuck the knack space
Yeah,
is.
they're not pulling the things out. They just see tool. Yeah.
Because what they say is, we secure your network.
Yeah.
There's a lot of we secure your network. If you try to teach an investor what network access control is, unless it's like a really sophisticated investor, they want the returns. I don't give a fuck what you do. Is there a market for it or not? Their tech, isn't bad, but it's also not blowing anybody's socks off. Nobody's like, oh my God, this is like revolutionary shit. If you look at their marketing, you might think it's like revolutionary shit, but there's only so much you can do with TCP/IP. I mean, it's been around since like 70 something. So, all right. So there's all that stuff. So a critical examination of other things about this company, deployment and integration challenges. It's a complex implementation, maybe not to the level of Cisco ICE, but it's intricate and it can be time consuming if you want to do it right. There's lots of hurdles. I mean, it's not easy. Integration difficulties for sure.
Dialing in is a hassle, according to Wright.
Absolutely. 100% it is. It reminds me of kind of the earlier days of like IDS implementations. This was pre-IPS, right? Same.
Yep. It was just
basically
signature matching.
Well, tuning. It was tuning. You had to tune it, right? So when you got false positives, you had to go figure out root cause analysis, track it down to what it actually was, and then either tune it out or it's not a false positive. But you had to do this root cause analysis on alert after alert after alert. And then eventually you got it into a place where it was pretty well tuned so that you could trust it. It's the same kind of thing with Forescout. And people don't want to do that shit.
No, they just want to play with the fucking crowd strikes.
Yeah. I love doing that shit because it was always such a great opportunity to learn how the network actually works. Like, oh yeah, what is this packet? What is this trigger? And then backing it all the way up, I'm like, yeah, what the hell system is that? Where did that come from? Who owns that system? Is it supposed to be doing this? I mean,
of which you won't get the
invaluable.
answers, but
no, you will, because I can't tune my shit until you tell me what the fuck this does, or I figure it out. Otherwise, we'll just block it, and then you can come crying to me and then tell me what it does. I mean, that's just how it has to go, I guess. Or I can just keep bugging you every week when I get these same alerts. Like, hey, I'm still getting the alerts. Is this still?
That's how it usually goes in my experience.
Well, yeah, I mean, it depends on the political climate and everything, but it's that integration, in these false positives and negatives. Otherwise, what happens is when you tune something without the root cause analysis, you're making the tool less and less and less effective because you might have just tuned something out that was legitimately something you needed to be alerted to. And it's not going to untune itself, right? So
visibility gap, basically.
Yeah, you're slowly turning this thing into a brick, which, whatever. So it's a product limitation, limited endpoint security for sure. Cost and value concerns, high total cost of ownership. It's not cheap. They can be costly, very costly. Software licenses, hardware, ongoing support, the expertise. I mean, having somebody do the work costs money. And so that's usually where it fails. Yeah, I told you the story about my own back in 2003, 4, somewhere like that, with network access control. This is actually a really big motivator for me in my work that I do today. I remember these things. I worked for a company that's called MGI Pharma, right? A pharmaceutical company, about a $3.5–4 billion pharmaceutical company. We made oncology drugs, which is oncology is cancer shit. And our claim to fame drug was this drug called Aloxi, what Aloxi would do is it would counter the side effects of chemotherapy, primarily nausea, right? So, and the company had a fantastic culture. We were very driven by the mission. And the mission was to improve the lives of cancer patients. Everything was about that, right? So every quarter we would all celebrate, we'd get like testimonials from people that were taking our drug. And, thank you so much. I'm staying on my chemotherapy and extending my life. because my quality of life is better, right? It was such a huge deal. Well, I've been an information security leader. This was my first CISO job. And so I understood the importance of aligning with the business, aligning with the mission, especially at the executive level, right? That's why they invite me to the parties and shit. And so the network access control, right? And I grew up a network guy. I should have known better. So I bought this network access control thing because it was like, yeah, this is awesome. And it's totally, I can see how we can make the business case for this. It's going to work. Love it. Bought it. Probably more on emotion than on logic. Spent, I don't know, $300,000, which back then was a lot of money. Racked it, started to configure it, and it didn't take me long before I realized I'm going to need at least one full-time employee to manage this thing because it needs to be tuned. I didn't have that. I didn't budget for that. It didn't get done.
You see that fly flying around too?
Yeah. So it ended up being, and I'm just sitting in the rack. And this was the problem with me personally. And this is what I wish more security people would feel the weight of this. That was $300,000 that I just stole from the company's mission. That's $300,000 that can't go to lowering our cost of drugs, marketing it to more people that can benefit from it, more research, all that shit, because that's what the mission of the company was. And I just wasted $300,000 on this. I mean, what's the difference between that and an attacker just stealing $300,000? You're out $300,000 either way. So that's why this stuff, misspending, not doing things right is a really, really big deal. All right. So total cost of ownership high, questionable ROI, leadership instability. So on the one side, on the first side, I'm giving them, do you know much about Forescout? Do you know?
No, a little bit, not a lot.
All right. There's a lot more to this, but for the sake of
I read
time,
a
I'm
little
not going
bit
to go
of
too
your
much deeper.
stuff.
I wrote that. Did you like
Yeah,
that?
I
Put
did.
all that together. I even sourced it all for you. Should I make a blog post out of that? I could blog post this. Why not? Somebody's buying Forescout because this is the same kind of research I think everybody should
You
go
gotta try
through.
and think, what
When
is
they're
the
going to buy some
message
shit.
of your blog post? Are
I
you
think
trying to have a consistent message of like Evan's thoughts around things? Like, we're in the mental health thing right now. Do you want to switch over to
well,
product review
I
stuff?
can't keep writing about mental health forever, man. We got other shit we got to cover.
Do we want to do like a product review thing?
It's not a product review. This isn't really a product review. This is tool or fool or tool. I don't know. We'll have to talk about this later. Stop challenging my intellect. I don't like it.
I just ask questions, man. I learned to ask questions.
That's actually a really good leadership thing. You want people to challenge your shit. So thank you, Matt. All right. So the verdict, I think on the company side, the fact that they've gone cash flow positive and all this other shit, like as an investment, tool time, man, not full time. Side eye a little bit. I'm a little cautious because of what happened last time, but I don't think that's going to happen again. On all the other shit, when you review, I don't know, a lot of shit about Forescout, and the way it's used, I think I got to go with full time. To be honest, because there's a lot
Riker
more that I could
says
cover.
half and half.
Yeah, I agree with that. So that's somebody
Toolful.
Yeah, I think company wise, if I was investing, yeah, cash flow positive tech company at a launch, that's kind of special. I would potentially, research more and go into that. But as far as a tool that I would put in my environment, it'd be in most environments that I work in, most environments aren't mature enough to use something like this to its best, to its capabilities. You can get
Just his port security.
You can get other better returns on your investment than Forescout. So I'd go full on that piece. Anyway, we'll do better. So next podcast,
Did you
is
know
what we got to do.
Discord is having an IPO?
Yes.
Pretty interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd do that one. I don't know. Should we start doing, we can do investment advice.
No, I just thought about it because you mentioned the IPO.
One of my pet peeves about CISOs in a lot of organizations is, I've mentioned it before, speaking the language of business is accounting, right? Every CISO should know how to read financial statements, and analyze those financial statements. Because that's what the board's thinking. You start putting the things that you do from an information security perspective into financial terms. I'll get a lot more board time. All right, that's all I got. Next week, what we're going to do is we'll get a little more focused, I think, on the opening shit, the what the fuck is happening. Spend a little more time in the middle.
Maybe just don't pick so many.
Maybe. I don't know. I figured everything out, dude. Still alive. Still
Breathing
alive.
is
It's
hard.
good. Breathing is hard. Well, breathing is a lot harder when you pick yourself up off the pavement after smashing into a deer on your Harley.
Can imagine.
It's a little harder to breathe after that. I mean, just for a little while. It knocks the wind out of you. Have you ever had the wind knocked
Stay
out
at
of you?
home. You're feeling better, right?
No,
Yeah, I remember you telling me the story.
no, that was a lot worse. I felt fine as long as the adrenaline was up. Have you ever had an adrenaline dump before?
Mm-hmm.
You've had an adrenaline dump?
When I dropped a 45-pound weight on my foot,
Yeah.
I was
That's
like, "Fuck
when-
yeah, let's keep working out." 10 minutes later, it's like, nope, no good.
Yeah, the adrenaline dump is when shit got real. And then then it was like 6 months of looking like a mummy. But it was all good. All right, well, that's it for this episode. Next week is, what are we talking about next week, Matt? Are you paying attention? I wasn't paying
Sort of.
attention.
I
Sort
have
of.
a spreadsheet for you to fill out that you didn't fill out, so I don't.
Dude, I don't need a mother right now or another wife. I don't need that. Next, burnout. Is that what it is next
Burnout
week?
again?
Not again.
We've talked about burnout. Burnout looks different than you think.
Damn it, Matt. I'm going to reach through this I'm going to smack you right upside that head. All right. And then we're going to have a special guest next week. Let's have Steve come and join us on the burnout. He likes to talk about that shit.
Yes, he had talked about wanting to do the other episodes, but I just talked to him today. I will let him know.
All right. So we're going to have he's like an expert, right?
He is, I would say. Yep.
All right. So we'll have an expert next week to talk about the burnout thing. So we're really going to have to get our shit together next week, Matt, because we're going to have to do what the fuck is happening, tighten that up and then spend more time discussing this burnout thing. And then we'll close the tool or fool thing. Maybe I'll do a little less analysis. I kind of went down some rabbit holes on that one. As you saw from my, 9-page document.
Yep. It's all good.
All right. That's it. See you guys next week.
Thank you, everybody. Riker team,
Subscribe.
don't forget, like, subscribe, follow our stuff, check us out.
And tell somebody who's burning out to come burn out with us.
No, we're not doing the California sober if they ask.
All right. See you.